just realized everybody is here to party. I just realized.
Hey, this is Ron at the radiologictechnologist.com with another email question I'm going to try to answer real quick because I'm hungry and I want to eat a hamburger. But this is a couple days old, so I want to try to address it. So it says, hello, I just came across your YouTube channel and it couldn't be a better time. I live in Mesa, Arizona and have been wanting to go into the medical imaging field for a few years now. My first goal was to go into sonography. I completed all the prerequisites to apply to Gateway's program. They went from a point system to a wait list this summer, and I applied and landed number 159 for that summer. And they take about 20 students per year. I've been on the wait list for 20 years now. Haven't received an update this year so far. Since I had all the prerequisites, the advisor suggested that I enroll in the Xray program as well as backup. I did, and that line seems to be advancing pretty quick. I just received an update last month that if it continues to advance at the same rate, I should get a turn in the next year or two. A few months back, after gaining more interest in Xray, I decided to attend Pima's, as Pima Medical Institute's radiography program open house. One thing led to another, and they offered me a spot for this upcoming September with clinical spots outside of the Valley. They also gave me the option of a secured spot for May 2021 with clinical sites within the Valley. The program sounds great, but it's very expensive at over $42,000. No kidding. I'm very anxious to start school soon because I'll be turning 27 this year and I've been wanting this for a very long time. However, if I was to move forward with Pima's Xray program, I would take the option of attending in May of 2021 with clinicals closer to me. I want to make the best decision for myself and my family. I have a decent job outside of the medical field which pays the bills, but I'm still very interested in sonography, and I'm almost sure that even if I went for Xray, I would still want to go back for sonography in the future. There is also a technical school in the West Valley that offers sonography. However, they are not CAA HEP accredited, and I've heard from other sonographers that it is much better to attend a school that is CAA accredited. Do you have any advice or tips for me? Thanks in advance. I'll be reading your articles for further information on these fields. Okay, so that was me 20 years ago because I lived in Mesa, Arizona, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for a living. And the video that I have on YouTube on this channel titled 5 Reasons I Went into Radiography is exactly about all that. So maybe give that a listen. And I think I may have also written a post about it too on the blog. But knowing what I know now, I would probably just stick with ultrasound because it pays more and there are plenty of jobs out there. It's kind of like, the best way I can explain it off the top of my head, and I'm starving, dying for a big fat hamburger right now, which is immediately where I'm going after this. I'm not doing another video. I'm going to go eat. This is my 3rd video in a row, but I'm trying to help you guys. So when I wanted to go, I wanted to make the most money possible, the biggest bang for the buck. 2-year program. These are all 2-year programs for now. X-rays 2 years, ultrasounds 2 years, nuke med is 2. I think some of them are pushing 3. That's kind of scary. Gateway has all 3 of those. And I don't think you have to have one to get in the other anymore. Back when I went, you had to have X-ray license to get into the ultrasound program. And it was the same way for the nuclear medicine program. Brian Dodd at Gateway Community College runs a fantastic sonography program. So if you're in line to get in there, I would just smooth Brian as good as you can to try and get up that line as fast as you can, because you're not going to get a better education. He was so tolerable of me, which says a lot. One of the best instructors I've had. Stay in line at Gateway for sonography. Now, I can't speak to their X-ray program. It used to be John Lempignano. I always got his last name wrong. but that guy is known globally. Uh, you may recognize his last name if I can say it correctly, because he's a co-author of one of the top radiography manuals that we use in our field. He's like the equivalent of the Bontrager, John Lampegnano. I know him, and he's a great guy and knows a ton about X-ray, but I've never had him as a teacher, nor had any of his students as my peers. But that guy's top level. And I think he actually left Gateway. I think he might be up here in Idaho with me now, at Boise State. But anyway, Jeannie Dial used to run the nuclear medicine program at Gateway, and if she's still there, you might consider nuclear medicine as well. You might just check out the program, because that is a fascinating career choice. And that's why I like radiology is all this stuff falls under the radiology umbrella. And you can certainly start an X-ray and go to any one of those. But nowadays, you got to pay attention, because some of them are letting you in without going to X-ray first. And while it's nice to have that, I mean, like I could say I have an X-ray license and I went to ultrasound school. So if I lost my X-ray license for some reason, I can still work as an ultrasound tech. But you don't have to do that anymore. You can go straight. I mean, if I were to give you my top, I mean, if it's all about the money, I would say jump straight into an echo sonography program and just do echo sonography and make the big bucks and ride the tide, enjoy the money. But I don't know who else doing those programs back in Phoenix anymore. It used to be Arizona Heart Institute back there. What was his name? He was the head of the program. He was known worldwide. Arizona Heart Institute. Shoot, I was just saying his name the other day. Anyway, I think he wrote a book too. But I think he established the Arizona Heart Institute's echo program. But anyway, you know, if you're asking me which way to go, there's a lot of things to consider. First, there's the money. The Gateway ultrasound program is what, maybe $10,000, something like that, and Pima's $42,000. I mean, ouch. The only people that I knew that were more expensive than Pima, and I went to Pima for X-ray, the only people that I know that were more expensive was Carrington or Bryman or whatever those other schools are called now. I think Bryman closed, but Carrington was there. And then there was another one out in the West Valley that you're alluding to. It's like Sanderson Brown or something like that out there. You know, you really ought to try to get into the public program, because it saves you money in the long run. I went into the private program. I paid $18,000 back when I went. That was 2003. And I could have gone to Gateway for probably $6,000. So a third, I paid triple. But there was a big long waiting list. So I got out 2 or 3 years quicker than I would have if I had, like you're waiting on this waiting list. And in the meantime, if you had graduated at the end of your first 2 years, you could be making big bucks now. And I say big bucks because it's not just, you know, hopefully an increase in your hourly wage of what you're getting now, but it opens the door to all these other possibilities like callbacks and being standby call and picking up extra shifts on holiday and all this other kind of, there's lots of ways you can make extra money in the radiology world. So, you know, you're asking me which way to go. You got to look at the money. Are you willing to pay 42 grand to go through X-ray immediately and then jump out and immediately go into Gateway for ultrasound? I can't quite tell by your email. If you can time it and do X-ray, and then, I mean, that's what I did. I did X-ray and I applied for ultrasound as soon as I got done with X-ray. And I was working at Chandler Regional at the time. And I had my ultrasound application out on the counter. I was a newly hired X-ray tech. I'll never forget this. I had my stuff out on the counter. There's nothing going on. And one of the techs said, "What are you doing?" Her name was Jennifer. "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm looking over, you know, ultrasound school. I think I'm going to apply to ultrasound school. And she went running off to Rob, the supervisor manager there, and saying, "He's over there looking at his school stuff and not paying attention to his work." And I got called into the office and said, you need to focus on work while you're at work, and you can be looking at that stuff on your own time. I mean, how petty, people, come on. I ended up getting into the program. She's still there doing X-ray. So to you, Jen. So, and I think Rob's still there too, but Rob, you're okay with me now. You got me in trouble back when I was a student and almost cost me my clinical rotation, but you're still there. So good for you. And, Rudy's moved on. Good for Rudy. But you guys were not at the top of my list there for a while. Anyway, I applied to ultrasound school, and I didn't think I was going to get in because I didn't have all the prereqs. So this is another thing to consider, or anybody that's watching this. I didn't even have the prereqs to get in. So I wasn't really too worried about it. I wanted to get in, but it wouldn't have killed me if I didn't, because I was pretty worn out from X-ray school. But the sonography program at the time, the Gateway program was run by a young lady named Manjusha Namjani or something like that, or Namjani Manjusha, I can't remember. Nice lady. But they interviewed me and said, well, we've got a spot and you don't meet the requirements, but if you'll sign this document saying you'll take that class that you're missing during the 2-year program and have it done before you graduate, then we'll let you graduate, if you pass everything else. So I signed up and went straight from graduating X-ray school into ultrasound school, which was really interesting because my wife jumped into X-ray school after I graduated. I think her first semester of X-ray school was my last semester of ultrasound school, something like that. And that was a really tough semester because we had already, we have 6 daughters now, but we already had a couple by then, so we had a lot of juggling to do. There was no sleep pad in the house, I'll tell you that much. So, gosh, I don't know if I would do it that same way again now, knowing that Pima is now $42,000. And Gateway is so much cheaper and ultrasound pays so much more, because literally you should be able to get an ultrasound job paying probably low 30s, I'm guessing. Depends on where you're at, and you can look all that up on Google. You can find what the salaries are. You can even ask on the forums on Facebook. What I see people post on the Facebook groups, what's the going rate for an X-ray tech in Atlanta? And everybody will start chiming in. So I think if I had it to do all over again, I probably would have, since you said you have a good job now, I probably would have just stayed there and waited to get into the ultrasound program. And because you're going to beat yourself up for 2 years in X-ray school, it's going to beat you. And then you're going to get beat up for 2 years in ultrasound school. So that's 4 years of beating you're looking at, when you could just do 2 in ultrasound and be done. Now, from an administrative perspective, I'd rather have a sonographer that can do X-ray, with the disillusion that I have that when you're not busy doing ultrasound, you might go do an X-ray. That's never, when you're not busy doing ultrasound, you're not thinking about doing X-ray. It would be great in my world, and I do it. I do ultrasound and X-ray, and I've done it since 2008. But you don't find many sonographers, and the industry is just conditioned. Sonographers don't typically do a lot of X-rays. CT and X-ray cross a lot. MRI, sometime to CT, you'll find. X-ray to IR, CT to IR, nuke med to PET. Very rarely nuke med to X-ray. Anyway, if I had to choose what I know now, and if I was faced with start X-ray now or wait a year or 2 and start ultrasound, and it was $42,000 and $10,000, I would just forego the X-ray and wait for the ultrasound, because it's a great career, and they both hit the same things: medical fascination, helping other people, solving problems, solving clinical problems. And some people may disagree with this next comment, but I think sonographers get more respect. Don't get me wrong, they can still get dumped on. You can still have radiologists chewing on you no matter what you do. But man, an X-ray, hospital-wide, you just get less respect. I don't know what it is. I don't know if we've just rolled over or what, but I mean, this latest COVID thing is really, you can really see it in the online forums of X-ray techs. We've had it. We are frontline. We're getting exposed. We want the same N95s that the doctors and nurses get. We're tired of being shoved aside. And I think there's a movement started there You know, the reason why nurses get everything they want is because they have a big lobbyist group. The nursing lobby in Washington is huge. That's how they got this nurse practitioner who then got a doctorate program, and now they can be called a doctor of nursing, and they can practice all by themselves. They don't even have to work for doctors anymore. PAs never did that. Physician assistants never got that far, so they still can't be autonomous 100%. They still have to work for a doctor somewhere. You know, they can work remotely, but they still ultimately report to a doctor. Unless things have changed recently, that's the way it's always been. And PA's been around for 20 years, 25 years, maybe longer. And that's what's going to do in our radiologists. Those guys fought against the RPA program. The Weber State had a mid-level provider. I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but Weber State had a mid-level provider that would have helped out the radiologists, but they got scared. You're encroaching on our territory. Don't like that. And over the years, they fought it, and now the RPA program closed. Doesn't exist anymore. It was open for like 17 years. And there are, I don't know, 300 or more RRAs out there or something. I don't know. But man, could we use those guys today? It's too bad that that wasn't embraced by the radiologists and the radiology as a whole, because PAs they don't want to come play in radiology. Nurse practitioners they want to go somewhere where it's more lucrative. I mean, we have them, and they're worth their weight in gold. If you've got a PA in your radiology department, worth his weight in gold. Same with the nurse practitioner. But back to your deal here, sorry. That's from the lack of hamburger. I need to go eat something. I would enjoy, unless you hate your current job. If this job you have that you say is good enough for now till you get into school, if you hate that job, that's a whole other factor. Because I know what it means to hate a job and how you want to get the heck out. Nope, right out of those crappy jobs. Life's too short. Jim Rohn once said, if you don't like where you work, move. You're not a tree, right? You're not planted, move. Don't put up with the garbage. I would wait. I would wait and get into the ultrasound program, and I would enjoy the crap out of it because Gateway is an awesome ultrasound program. And the clinical rotations, clinical rotations are clinical rotations. You're going to have techs that are jerks, and you're going to have techs that are awesome, and you're going to learn from both. You're going to learn from the jerky techs, just like I learned from the jerky people at Chandler Regional. There's people, you can learn what not to do from the bad technologists, as well as learn what you should do from the good technologists. So there you go. That's what I would say. As far as are they KHEAP or however you want to say it, accredited, do your research. The end goal is to sit for the board exams. If school A is accredited by one place and school B is accredited by another place, and they both can get you to the ARDMS certification in the end, well, I wouldn't pass that test right there. If they both get you to the certification, who cares who accredits them? The ART doesn't let you sit for their board exam unless the school you go to is a certain credential. But I don't remember if the ARDMS is the same way or not. So that's what I would ask. Whoever's not CAAHEP accredited, say, if I pass your 2-year program, can I sit for the board exam for the ARDMS? And if they say yes, who cares? Who cares who accredits them? Accrediting is kind of getting to be another joke these days. You've got all these accrediting bodies that are, they're power hungry, and they come by and inspect your facility and they find all these things wrong. And some of them, you get charged a penalty if you get dinged. Others don't charge you. You're just expected to do better, or they'll come back and close you. So, all these accrediting bodies, the bottom line is, can you sit for the board exam at the end? If you can sit for the board exam, then it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you really, the dirty truth on the training is you're going to get prepared for your job on your clinicals. It's not sitting in the classroom that's going to teach you how to scan a patient. It's the clinicals that are going to teach you how to scan a patient. The classroom will teach you how to take the tests and teach you the didactic portion, like the physics, but you're never going to use the physics on a patient. I mean, you're never going to, you're never going to have to sit there and figure out the calculations for a wavelength or something when you're doing an ultrasound, or, kV and mass. You're just going to memorize what a good kV and mass is. Hell, now the machines, I mean, I saw the writing on the wall at McDonald's 10 years ago when I looked over at the register, and the buttons had pictures of hamburgers and French fries in different sizes. So the employee didn't even have to read the word hamburger anymore. They just had to push the picture of the hamburger. X-ray machines are going the same way. Now they have pictures of a foot and a picture of a hand and a picture of a cervical spine. And over here, you got a picture of a fat person and a regular person and a skinny person. You need to know your techniques. I hate to tell you, but you got to know your techniques, because that stuff's not always going to work, or you're going to end up someplace that doesn't have that fancy equipment, and you're going to have to know how to do your own technique. Or a portable. You may have the new digital stuff, but you may have a portable that's 10 years old, and you got to figure out how to set the technique on that. Where am I going with this? Well, you know where I'm going? I'm going down the street to get a hamburger. That's where I'm going with this. I hope this has been helpful. I don't know if it has been or not. You asked my opinion, that's what it is. I did get a good education from Pima Medical Institute. I will say that. They prepared me for my boards. I passed my boards first try. That was the Mesa campus. The same teachers aren't there anymore that I'm aware of. One of them's elevated up into a higher position. She's still there. And I think, what was his, Darv Noman. I think he finally retired after wrecking his bike like 1,600 times or whatever. So Darv was our clinical guy that drove around and checked on us, and the teachers, they actually had kind of a revolving door from what I remember. But Pima is known for good X-ray programs. I actually went there for phlebotomy before X-ray, and they had a good phlebotomy program. Pima understands how education works for technical school programs. So if that's where you choose to go, if I had to choose an X-ray program in Phoenix, it would be tough because of the money. Gateway's X-ray program should be as good as it was when John ran it, and it would be, oh my gosh, a quarter of the price. But there's that waiting list. And I caution you about taking out a $42,000 loan to do X-ray school, because you may think, I'll make a bunch of more money going through it and then I can pay that off. But man, that thing grows so fast and gets out of control. And you're thinking 42,000, but that's like 8,000 per semester or whatever. And that means, I don't know, 5 different loans at 8,000 each. Means those 5 different loans at 8,000 each could get farmed out to 5 different loan servicing providers. And now you've got to keep track of all those and make your payments. And if any one of those suckers gets off and you forget about it, or you move and they don't have your new address or whatever, they don't care. They'll start dinging your credit. They'll start dragging your score down. And boy, God forbid you get sent into collections, or if you ever get into garnishment. I haven't been into garnishment, but I know somebody who has. And game over if they ever get you to garnishment, because then they're taking $400 a paycheck. And the only way you get out of garnishment is to sign up for this 9-month program. And if you make all your payments for 9 months in a row, then they'll take you out of garnishment and put you in a regular payment program. But those 9 months worth of payments to get you out of garnishment are equivalent to what they're already taking. So if they're taking $400 out of each paycheck, they want another $400 a month or $400 per paycheck to make payments to show you're capable of making payments. So they're just taking your whole paycheck. It's ridiculous. So if you take student loans, please take care of your student loans. But biggest advice, don't take them. I know it's hard. I've got posts on how to pay for X-ray school. It applies to ultrasound school, whatever. There's grants and scholarships and work study, and borrowing from the parents. I mean, there's a lot of other things you can try to do to not have to do student loans. I fell for it, and I'm up to here in student loans. But good luck, whatever you choose. If you have any more questions, you probably don't want to ask me any more questions now. But if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments section, and I'll be happy to answer them. Good luck. I'm going to go get a hamburger now.